the US government as a child protection organization. There are no professionals, no professional therapists involved with this whatsoever. Professionals who work in child protective services have completely dismissed them, and childwelfare.gov does not list them anywhere in their thousands and thousands of child protective organizations. But despite all of that, it's literally tax exempted. It is a tax exempted pedophile club. So it's a church. Just kidding. My Catholic family is not going to like that. Just kidding. I love Jesus Christ. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, give us a daily bread. Forgive us of those trespassers. In July 2019, PayPal ceased its relationship with Prostasia because it apparently violated policy on transactions involving, encouraging, promoting, facilitating, or instructing others to engage in illegal activity. Little sus. Now, all over their website are words like free speech and sex positivity. Like, they recently had some webinar, and I'm not even joking, this is what it was called. Prostasia tries really hard to roleplay as this, like, hip, modern, inclusive organization. But at the end of the day, they're just another NAMBLA. They're just another Lincoln Project. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, Shu, this isn't that bad. You know, maybe their heart is in the right place. Keep watching. An advisor to the Canadian Centre for Child Protection had to say this about Prostasia.
Are there any Prostasia campaigns that don't undermine online child protection? They claim to be a child protection org, but it's hard to find an issue where they err on the side of actual child protection. Prostasia doesn't have a victim focus, full stop.
The goals of Prostasia is very clearly to protect the feelings of grown-ass adults. That is their top priority, but they have other priorities. Another thing they advocate for is the legalization of drawn CP. Now, I don't really know where I stand on this. Drawings are not real. Just like fantasy or roleplay or whatever, nobody's getting hurt, and the main concern is children being hurt or exploited. Whether looking at material like that is harmful, that's like a whole different debate, a whole different video. But like, look, I can literally draw a stick figure right now. Ready? Let's give her big milkers. There we go. Awooga, right? Well, she's under 18. There are federal agents at your door. But another battle they are fighting is for the legalization of child sex dolls. Recently, some mother had to fight to get a doll removed from being sold because it was based on her 8-year-old daughter. And another focus of theirs, and I'm not joking, is to abolish the sex offender registry. Now, why would Prostasia want to abolish the sex offender registry? Well, let's talk about who runs Prostasia, shall we? Who is behind this organization? In May 2020, somebody asked the founder of Prostasia, Jeremy Malcolm, if they accepted self-admitted pedophiles as volunteers. Jeremy Malcolm replied, "We don't make a policy of asking people about their sexuality before they are allowed to volunteer." Their sexuality. Right. The Council of Ghouls consists of convicted sex offender Guy Hamilton Smith. And they also had convicted sex offender Jeff White on board for a while. So I think we figured out why they want to get rid of the sex offender registry. By the way, when a family lawyer called into question Jeff White's sketchy history of, child diddling, the family lawyer received threats from Jeremy Malcolm, the founder, that basically said, "You leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. Capiche?" And after that, they apparently stopped disclosing who works for them. They stopped disclosing the staff, the volunteers. It's a big mystery now. But don't worry, it's not all convicted sex offenders. They also have clinical psychologist Dr. James Cantor, who had to say this.
Speaking as a gay man, I believe we should include the P. To do otherwise is to betray the principles that give us our rights.
For the last f***ing time. Gay. male, male, lesbian, female, female, bi, female, male, pedophile, adult, child. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with sexuality. Children can be male or female. Pedophiles can be straight, gay, bi. As the CEO of bisexuality, we disavow. But, like, I know this is a weak comparison, but seriously, this would be like making any one of my sick fetishes part of the LGBTQ alphabet. Like, yeah, guys, we need to add S to LGBT. Lesbian, gay, bi, trans, spit in my mouth. It's not how that works.
You can't sit with us!
But they also had a nice woman named Sheila who worked with them for a little while, and she had this to say on Christmas, December 2019.
Merry Christmas to everyone, including the Nepiophiles, pedophiles, hebephiles, and ebahebephiles who have to put up with people like blank virtue signaling and perpetuating stigma every single day of the year.
Now, if you are a normal person, and therefore you do not know what a Nepiophile is, a Nepiophile is someone who is attracted to babies. Hold on one second. So where does their funding come from? Well, cryptocurrency. Of course! But also, get this, Amazon Smile. You could literally select them as a charity on Amazon. So while I was doing my sleuthing around at 4 a.m. like a f***ing freak, high off adrenaline, just absolutely on my QAnon grind, I actually found the director of the organization. Meet Noah Berlatsky, the main character of this story. Now, our friend Noah has some interesting takes. Pedophiles are essentially a stigmatized group. Certain people get designated as deviants. People hate them. Yes. And parents are tyrants. Parent is an oppressive class, like rich people or white people. He also wrote a few blogs on the Prostasia website.
Child sex workers' biggest threat: the police.
Okay, let's back up for a second. There's no such thing as a child sex worker, Noah. That's called a human trafficking victim. This one is called The Science Behind Adolescent Autonomy. Should a 15-year-old be able to vote? Should a 13-year-old be able to decide when to go to bed? Should a 16-year-old be able to decide to sex with their significant other? Should a 12-year-old be allowed to choose what to eat and what not to eat for dinner? Rather than outsourcing our ethics and ill-informed readings of neuroscience data, we need to acknowledge that the real corrupter of judgment, of kindness, of tolerance, is power. If we refuse to let young people advocate for themselves, or refuse to grant them bodily autonomy, it is not because there is something wrong with their decision-making capacity, it is because there is something wrong with ours. Therefore, let me touch your children. No f***ing idea what he's getting at here. The echo chamber of alt-right conspiracy theorists and sexual conservatives who wield the stigma around pedophilia as a potent weapon to undermine the progress of the LGBT movement. So it is true that years ago, and still today, pedophilia was used to fearmonger about gay people. And all gay people aren't pedophiles, obviously. But here's the flaw in what you said. Um,